Hey, boys and girls. Today in math, we are going to review telling time on the clock because last week, I just got done testing a lot of people, and this was something that was still kind of tricky for a lot of people. The top part, most people did pretty well with that one, but let's talk about some important things that some of us are missing, okay? So, the minute hand I made in blue. Do you see that? The minute hand. That's the long hand because the word minute is long. See how the word hour is short? Okay? So the long hand, when we're talking about o'clock, the long hand is always on the 12. For o'clock, the long hand is on the 12. The hour hand or the short hand is always on whatever hour you're talking about. So if it's on the 1, it's 1 o'clock. If it's on the 2, it's 2 o'clock. If it's on the 3, it's 3 o'clock, and so on. The short hand points to whatever hour it is. But the long one is always on the 12 for o'clock, okay? Now the thing that some people didn't quite get right here is if they had to draw them, they drew them the same size. So you have to be super careful. You cannot make them the same size because if you make them the same size, I can't tell what time it is. I have to be able to tell that there's a short hand and there's a long hand, okay? And to tell the difference, it's really helpful to draw the long hand so it's going all the way through the number and the short hand is not even touching the number. It's just pointing at it. Do you see the difference? Okay, so that's kind of an important thing that maybe some of us missed. And, maybe in our math Zooms, I'll test some of the people who didn't really get this very well on our tests and see if you guys can kind of fix your mistakes because this is tricky. Okay, so now let's talk about the half hour. This is where a lot of us messed up and it is very tricky. Okay, so the minute hand, remember the long hand? When we're talking about the half hour, the long hand or the minute hand is always on the 6. Do you see the blue one? It's on the 6. Do you see how it's actually going through the 6? It's going all the way down through the 6. That's half past, or we'll say like something 30, 2:30, 3:30, 4:30. It's always at the 6. Okay, the long hand. Now, the hour hand, which is the short hand, is always half past the hour. Half past. So that means it's in between two numbers. It's not going to be pointing right at a number. If it's pointing right at a number, you get it wrong. It has to be in between two numbers to get it right. Okay? So a lot of us miss that part. So let's talk about that. Okay? Here, it's halfway between the 10 and the 11. So it's 10:30. If I drew it to the 10, that's wrong. Even if the minute hand is touching the 6, it's still wrong. That hour hand has to be halfway between two numbers when we're talking about 30. And what does this look like when we write it? If o'clock looks like this, see, let's read this clock. This is 3 o'clock, right? So that's like this. 3 o'clock, okay? This one that I'm talking down here, we call it half past. This is o'clock, this is half past. Okay? So half past, this one, if I look, it's past the 10, so it's 10:30. Okay? 10:30. So you're going to have some practice pages on hour and half hour through Seesaw that I want you to work on because this has been kind of tricky for us. Okay? So take some time to work on that and that'll be it. We'll practice some other things later this week also, just some things that maybe have been tricky.